Hello and welcome to MediaCast, the podcast series, which features some of the best, by invitation only, the professionals and leaders in their spaces and spheres of work. And with me today, I am delighted to share is a truly wonderful cricketer, former cricketer, international cricketer for England, who today is actually ah, stitching pitches. Okay, that is really taking it down. I'm not, because what he's doing is an amazing, amazing bit of work that's not just going to help cricket infrastructure, but for himself also, it takes his passion and his love for cricket to absolutely the next level. And we have already seen one wonderful, glorious proof of concept in India, literally spread out for action. Okay, so please join me as I welcome the wonderful, smiling, all the way from London, Paul Taylor, International Sales Director for Cricket at SIS Pitches. It's about pitches, remember. Okay,
Okay.
Paul, welcome to MediaCast and thank you for your time.
Pavan, thanks very much for having me on. I really appreciate it, and looking forward to talking about cricket and obviously cricket pitches, which are been a hot topic of in recent times, especially with the World Cup success.
Oh, yes, those transplanted ones really had bowlers curtailing everybody at 130 and 120. Oh, shocking. But I'm
Never.
sure that the one that you've laid out on top of a high mountainous kind of space is
Mm.
amazing. We'll come to that, and this is a bit of a teaser for that. But, Paul, thank you very much for being on the episode. And thanks also to one truly amazing, wonderful sports communications strategic professional, young veteran, Noel D'Souza. Thank you very much, Noel, if you're listening. I'm sure you are. Noel from Ad Factors PR. So you're in very good comms hands, Paul. So let's begin the conversation. And when I read about you, I sort of got to know you vicariously. I realized that all I'm seeing is the tip of an iceberg because you've done so much. And I wanted to check and get from you your version of how your passion for cricket, okay, and how your persistence with it despite some not very good performances. But give us that story.
Mm.
Saw you actually in India with the England team, so that's a salute to your determination. But still, Paul, tell me about your early days as a youngster in England playing cricket, how you subsequently converted your or transplanted, my God, too many puns with pitches here, your love for cricket into the corporate sector, which actually is actually empowering a lot of the infrastructure in India for cricket and sports. So, Paul, tell me about your, in brief, about your story,
Okay.
cricket, passion, and SIS pitches.
No worries. I've been in cricket all my life. So I didn't start playing cricket at all till I was 15 years old. So I was a very late starter in the game. We didn't play cricket at school. So I was introduced to my local club. Um,
Okay.
and during my career, I've been incredibly fortunate to reach the pinnacle. So I've managed to play in two test matches and a one day international. But I believe along the way, you need a little bit of luck. You do need ability, but also you need to be in the right place at the right time. So my opportunity came sort of second time around. I started my career with Derbyshire, which didn't prove successful. And
Okay.
after 4 years, my contract wasn't renewed. I was reborn again at Northamptonshire with Curtly Ambrose opening the bowling at the opposite end to me after a performance for a minor counties team against Northamptonshire the previous year. So I played for Staffordshire, which was a lower level county team, but there was a knockout competition where the big boys were pitched against the minnows. I didn't perform particularly well. 0 for 92 off 12 overs weren't great figures for an opening bowler. But Northampton just saw something in me. So I managed to get a contract, and within 18 months, I was at Eden Gardens, Calcutta, playing in front of 100,000 people. So it
Wonderful.
was a massive, massive sort of turnaround from playing cricket for a hobby to all of a sudden you're playing serious cricket for a living. But the journey to get to that, I played against Hampshire and got career best figures of 7 for 23. Three
Hmm.
weeks before the England side was selected, 2 weeks before the England side was selected, I got 10 wickets against a very strong Middlesex side, which
Wow.
included Mike Gatting, John Embry, Desmond Haynes. I got 10 wickets in the game, and that was literally 2 weeks before the England team was published. So being in the right place at the right time, triggered a bit of interest in the media, and all of a sudden I was on the plane to India. So that was phenomenal. I've had some
Amazing,
great,
amazing.
I've had some great experiences. I've played with Michael Holding when I played for Derbyshire. He was bowling at the other end. Curtly Ambrose was my opening bowling partner at Northamptonshire. Anil Kumble, he played for one season in 1995 and took 105 wickets and bowled 900 over 900 overs. And I've obviously played against Sachin Tendulkar, both again when he played for India, but also when he was the first overseas player who played for Yorkshire in the first class county game over here. So I've had some fantastic experiences, and I could talk you through every single one of those in detail, but we certainly don't have the time to do that. So
Right. I
that
wish
was
we had though.
yeah, absolutely. But so that was my playing career, and then it was a case of what do I do next? I didn't go to university. I left school straight into cricket. So I had two routes, or I had two options at the end of my playing career. I was 37 years old. I was a level 3 cricket coach, so I could have gone down the coaching route and found a job with the county. But I decided to go down the cricket development route. So developing grassroots
Wonderful.
cricket, introducing the game to um, youngsters, but also adults. I worked in a small county for 3 years. I then worked at the Oval for Surrey County Cricket Club. I was director of cricket development there for 15 years. And basically, my motivation there was around giving the opportunity to young players or people to be involved in the game. And that's an opportunity that I never had as a youngster. So that was my real motivation for going down that route, giving people the opportunity that I never had. I was 27 by the time I played for England. Had I been introduced to the game 10 years earlier, I might have been 18, 19, 20 and had a lot longer and more successful career at international level. But due to the fact I was a late starter, that was detrimental at that point. But again, you can't take those experiences away.
Absolutely, absolutely. Wonderful. So, you continued your passion for cricket and your obviously amazing talent and experience also, right? And you took it to, as you said, developing cricket at the grassroots level. So, grassroots actually now today with SIS pitches means something else. And I mean, literally. So, tell me about SIS pitches where you lead international cricket sales for the company. And SIS pitches actually make some amazing cricket pitches, right? They are stitched and they're a wonderful mix of, natural grass and fiber and all of that. So I still am only scratching the surface. My God, there are too many puns today. But please tell me. So, tell me about your journey to your arrival in SIS Pitches and what is SIS Pitches? What does it do? And what's your proof of concept of the company internationally? And what have you done in India? Long question, but please take it away. So, just give me the complete idiot's guide to SIS Pitches, what it
Okay.
does, and how it's really wonderful. I believe that for cricket infrastructure and growing it in India.
Okay. So the concept of facility development for me, when I was working at the Oval, I led on facility development, and that was building new pavilions, that was installing grass wickets, cricket nets, practice nets, so it was the whole infrastructure around facility development. And soon realised that the cricket pitch is the absolute essential part of a game of cricket. When you see these fantastic new international stadiums and they're televised, and 5% of the time is spent looking at the fantastic stadium, either as a spectator or on TV. 95% of the time is spent looking at the pitch. And without a good pitch, you do not get good quality surfaces. Good quality cricket. So the
Cricket, yeah.
pitch is an absolutely vital part of that. So if you've got a poor pitch, you'll have a poor cricket game. You'll lose potentially the advantage of being a very, very strong side, and the playing field is leveled a bit, so an average side can play against a good side and actually compete really, really well. But that's because of the pitch, not because of the quality of the players necessarily. So there is a huge emphasis on making sure that the cricket pitch is as good as it can be. At SIS Pitches, what we've developed is a hybrid technology, and there are different types of hybrid surface. There's a huge amount of misinformation out there about cricket pitches generally. So you obviously have a natural pitch, You have a drop-in pitch, which is effectively a natural pitch in a big metal tray, which is obviously what we've seen in the USA over the last few weeks in the World Cup.
Right. Right.
That is not a hybrid pitch; it's a drop-in natural pitch. You then got three different types of hybrid pitch. You've got a carpeted hybrid, which is a natural clay pitch with a synthetic grass carpet that's got a 60mm pile. You've then got clay and turf that's grown into that to create a surface, but that takes quite a long time to develop. You then have an artificial hybrid, which is a fully synthetic grass carpet, again with a long pile that's just got a clay surface mixed into it, and there's no natural grass within the surface. You've then got the stitched hybrid, which is what we do primarily for cricket, where it is the natural surface that you've already got, and we inject fibres into that surface, basically to give that profile a lot more strength and resilience so that you can play on it for a longer period of time and still have good quality cricket.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, obviously, your stitched hybrid pitches, right? They combine the best of both worlds. One is the strength and solidity of fiber, and then of course the natural grass. And I believe that you favor Bermuda grass, right? Is that correct? And why?
In warmer climates, Bermuda grass is used because obviously it can cope with the heat conditions more. We use ryegrass where the climatic conditions are cooler. So in the UK, cricket pitches tend to be ryegrass. In India, in Dubai, they tend to be Bermuda grass because it's more resilient to hot climatic conditions.
What I see as an opportunity for SIS pitches in India, I'll keep to myself as a business growth opportunity. You tell me what you see as the opportunity, the growth potential for SIS pitches in India.
So I think we're looking at this at the moment. It's being seen as very much about the elite game. It's about the professional game, but I think it's far deeper and far wider than that. And as a company, we want to really drive the grassroots game. You know, if we can get young players playing on surfaces that are the same as the international cricketers are playing on, that must be a really, really good thing. If you're improving the quality of surfaces at grassroots level, it means you can develop players quicker. They learn the game quicker. And that can only be good for the longevity of the game in India. You know, you're accelerating the development of these players because they're playing on really good surfaces. So yes, we want to install in the main stadiums. So that gives the professional game the quality of surface that they want to play and practice on. But more importantly, I think we want to get into the community side of things. So working with the relevant associations and the BCCI to see how we can roll out a program that actually brings this technology into the community side of and the grassroots side of the game, so that everybody in cricket in India will benefit.
Wonderful. So, how did the first? I think it's the only one you've rolled out. Literally, too many puns in India. The first hybrid pitch that SIS Pitches has installed in the wonderful stadium at Dharamshala, right? So tell me about that. You know, I mean, how did that project come into your lap? I'm sure there must have been a lot of hard work, coordinating, selling the concept and the idea and the thought. But then India is blessed because we have a forward-thinking and very caring for cricket institution like the BCCI. So, what has it been like for you working with the BCCI, and how did the first SIS pitches pitch arrive on the mountaintop in Dharamshala?
So we have an Indian partner. We work with a company called Greater 10, who are a fine turf specialist company, and they oversee the maintenance of the outfield, both at Dharamshala, at the HPCA stadium, but also at the ground in Ahmedabad. So we've got direct access into, I suppose, the grounds network over there. We've been having conversations with the BCCI for the last sort of 18 months to 2 years, just around the technology and the understanding of the technology. And I've been over there for various times over the last 6 months, having meetings with various associations, various individuals, various curators, explaining more about the technology. So it's taken quite a long time to get to this point. We have proven technology. It's technology
Yes.
that is approved by the ECB in the UK for all formats of cricket. And it's approved by the ICC for international white ball cricket, and has been for a number of
Wonderful.
years now.
Wonderful.
So Dharamshala was the first, Mr. Arun Damal. He was he signed off to get pitches installed there, mainly due to timing and the logistics of match play, which is one of the challenges of India, because you play 10 months of the year. Finding a space where we can install the technology is a bit of a challenge. So it worked perfectly that the HPCA Stadium in Dharamshala was the first. We installed 8 pitches on site there. So there's 4 on the main cricket square, and then there's 2 each on each of the 2 practice areas on site. And we've already got another order for another 8 pitches to install at 2 other stadiums in the area. So the technology has already started to spread around. And then we've got other projects that are in the pipeline to be installed in Ahmedabad, in Mumbai, in Pune, Bangalore. So there's lots of opportunities there at the moment. And obviously we're keen to progress those, just so we've got some showcase centres where we can actually highlight what the technology is, to clarify on the understanding, and also to show them how good the technology is.
That's really wonderful, Paul. Now, speaking as a layman, which I am when it comes to the kind of pitches, very short response sought, please, for my next question, which is, what has the cricket pitches technology or kinds, what have they been like so far? And how does SIS pitches and its technological enhancements, how do they really empower the whole space, and how are they, miles ahead of, what we've been seeing in the past and used to in the past? Please tell us.
Yeah, so everybody wants to play on a natural pitch. But they want a good quality natural pitch. So the technology that we bring in, you still maintain 95% natural turf. There's only 5% of artificial fibre injected into the surface. So the playing characteristics don't change. What it gives you gives you longevity. It gives you more play, more good quality play in terms of pace and bounce over a longer period of time. So you can use that surface up to 3 times longer than what you'd already ordinarily use that surface for.
Wonderful. So what's the average like in terms of, the same usual wear and tear on a 100% natural pitch and on a SIS pitches hybrid pitch?
You can play up to 3 times the amount of cricket. So if you normally play 3 or 4 games on it, you can play 9 or 10 games on it. And I think where this really comes into its own, the growth of women and girls cricket, especially across the world, and it's not just an Indian issue, puts a massive amount of pressure on the head curators. And SIS Pitches have been looking for years to develop technology that helps with this situation. So the fact that you can use the same pitch for 3 times as much practice or 3 times as much play will make a huge difference to the curators and take the pressure off them. Since SIS Pitches sincerely believe in trying to help the curators overcome the pressure that's now being put on them because of the increased demand for top quality pitches.
Well, that's very interesting, Paul. So you're saying that, let's say 12 games have been played on one pitch. What do you at SIS Pitches, or the maintenance partner in India of SIS Pitches, what do they need to do to sort of refresh and rejuvenate that pitch again?
Okay, so it still needs maintenance. Basically, it needs to be watered and it needs to be rolled in between matches. That's it. So, the way I explain it to clients, you can either play the same amount of cricket on less pitches, so that reduces the amount of preparation time that's needed, or you can increase the amount of cricket you play on the same number of pitches by up to 3 times. and then anything in between that. So it's just an aid. It's a reinforcement of the soil profile. The grass coverage is a lot better. The grass plant is healthier because all the nutrients, air and water can get directly down to the roots via the fibers. So it makes a huge difference in terms of the quality of the pitch, the quality of the grass, and the pitches recover a lot quicker as well. That's the other significant advantage, which means you can reuse them later on in the season as well as at the time that you're preparing them first time around.
Wonderful. So, what's it been like working with, coordinating with the BCCI in India? And because I see a great opportunity here with something as open minded and caring for the game, invested in cricket like the BCCI. And if you look at all the states, all the associations, there is a lot of scope and potential. So, where do you see SIS pitches growing to in India?
As I say, we're working with our Indian partner, Greater 10. We've installed the first pitches. We've got lots of other opportunities around in the major centres, and we're looking to develop that. SIS Pitches, as a wider company, we also do install football, rugby, hockey. We're a one-stop shop effectively for all sports services, whether it's natural, fully artificial, or hybrid. So, our entry into India is through cricket, and that is our absolute priority. Working with the BCCI, working with the local associations to see how we can bring this technology into the country to improve the quality of the facilities and the playing surfaces across the country. I suppose ultimately, if we can break into other sports as well at some point in the future, that would be advantageous. But cricket is our absolute priority, and working with the BCCI to develop a program that rolls out across the whole country where everybody can benefit, because there's a huge amount of resource being put into cricket across the country. I understand, especially in the north of the country, and that's something we really want to support.
Wonderful. Give me the idiot's guide to the science behind pitch preparation. And that's one part. Another is the process of stitching a hybrid pitch, the components involved, the universal machine that is used in stitching. So
Yeah.
just so people understand and realize that you don't create a magically useful pitch out of thin air. There's a lot of investment that goes into it, effort and labor and everything goes into it. And how and where do you source the kind of manpower and infrastructure, technology, machines, and how equipped is the Indian talent space in cricket to help you? Start with just the science and the stitching and the
Okay.
process,
Yeah.
and then you can tell me a little more. So please tell me.
Okay. So very briefly, what is a good pitch? So, the batsman wants to score runs, and therefore he requires predictable, consistent bounce and pace. He wants sufficient bounce to be able to play off the back foot, and he wants minimal seam and spin movement. That's what the batsman wants. The bowler wants pace and bounce to reward the effort that he puts in, and he wants to be able to have enough movement on the surface to allow, to go past the outside edge, bring LBWs into, so there's lots of balancing to be done here to keep the batsman and the bowlers happy. You've got to strike the right balance. It's absolutely key. So preparing the pitch, there's sort of three phases really. There's what we call the initial phase, there's a conditioning phase and a finishing phase. So initially you're cutting your pitch out, you're watering your pitch and you're thinning out the grass. That's the first phase. The second phase is where you start rolling, you start grooming the grass, you start mowing the pitch further down, but also controlling moisture levels within the surface, because that's really important that it doesn't dry out or it doesn't get too wet. And then the final finishing phase is the final cut and marking out. So there's three sort of stages to pitch development, and getting that balance right is quite difficult sometimes. Hybrid technology, especially a stitched hybrid surface, doesn't change the playing characteristics of a pitch. What it does, it ensures a good quality surface. It maintains pace and bounce for a longer period, so that more games can be played on it. The process is effectively the universal machine, which has been developed specifically for cricket by SIS Pitches. It's a patented machine, weighs about 2 tons. It looks like a cricket roller, effectively. and that machine injects polyethylene fiber into the surface at 20 millimeter by 20 millimeter centers to a depth of 90 millimeters. So it gives a lot of root strength, root profile strength, and that works really, really well. The fibers, and this is an important point, when we install the fibers, the first question we ask the curator is what is the minimum cutting height that he prepares his pitches at. So a lot of the surfaces in India are 5 or 6 millimeters, which is the finished cut height. So we always make sure that we cut the fiber off 1 millimeter below the minimum cut height. So the natural grass is always above the artificial fiber, and it's not the other way around. So the ball will always hit the natural grass plant first.
Excellent. So what I understand from, I mean, I used to play some cricket when I was a kid, a youngster, and we used to play on mats and, any kind of ground. But what I understand from what you just explained is that there is a solid science behind the expectation that has to be delivered to a spin bowler who wants the purchase, who wants the tweak, to a fast bowler who wants the bounce and the movement, and the batsman who wants a pitch that when he sees a ball approaching him at a certain length, he can anticipate the trajectory unless the guy at the other end is like another Curtly Ambrose. So that's a different thing. But am I correct in saying that it will reward your effort truly, so to speak, in terms of being equal, the turn, the purchase, the swing for a bowler, whether pace, seam, or spin, will be in equal proportion to the effort and the skill that they are putting in. And the batsman can also will not be deceived by the one that suddenly keeps very, very low. I'm just trying to wrap my ignorant head around this.
That's fine. Basically, the playing characteristics of the pitch don't change. So however the curator wants to prepare that pitch, and whether he wants to leave it a bit drier or with a bit more grass on it, he still has full control over that in the preparation phases. So that doesn't change. What we are finding with a hybrid surface is that the pace and bounce is maintained for a longer period.
Okay.
That's not only for seam bowling, that's also for spin bowling. It's a real asset to have spin and bounce on a surface. And obviously, as a pitch wears more, that bounce tends to be sometimes a little bit lower, and the pitch becomes a little bit slower. So what hybrid technology does, it gives you more pace and bounce for a longer period of time, so that those skills can be utilized to the maximum.
Wonderful. Just another couple of more questions, really, because I think I've got the essence of what SIS Pitches, the value that they bring to India, to cricket rather, and then therefore they're through BCCI and the associations to Indian cricket. But tell me, how have the SIS Pitches and its technology been received by players and coaches in India, globally? I'm talking about cricket right now. And what feedback have you received? How has it influenced, further innovations? But just give me the basic feedback that you've received, spoken to any Indian cricketer, any bowler, or whatever you've received in general, even through your partners.
Yeah, it's been seen as a real positive because of the amount of play that you can now get out of these pitches, both in terms of practice and match play. A lot of it is anecdotal, so it's people's opinions on how the surface is played. We've got 17 out of 18 first-class counties in the UK have these pitches, and they're installed in 38 county and international stadiums across the world. So they are far and wide. They were approved for use by the England and Wales Cricket Board, which is obviously England's equivalent to the BCCI, in 2019, following 2 years of testing and research. They were approved for white ball cricket, 50 over, T20 and the 100 in 2019. And for the 2024 season, they're being used in 4-day county cricket, which is the first class game over here. They're also approved by the ICC for white ball cricket in 2022. So all levels of cricket can now be played on these surfaces. We've got over 750 pitches in the ground across the world. in various climates. And to date, we haven't received, I don't want to tempt fate here, we haven't received any negative feedback from any of the grounds.
Wow. Wow.
They've all seen the benefits of the investment, and more pitch orders are forthcoming from our clients on a regular basis. So yeah, we're really pleased with how it's gone so far. And the cricket side of
Wonderful.
the business is growing massively.
More strength to you, Paul. I got two very, very important words. One is nothing negative at all in terms of feedback, and the second was worth the investment. So tell us, what is the kind of investment that a single pitch, or let's say four pitches or four tracks in a stadium would entail? Because the value and the benefits are there for sure. It's just
Yeah,
perhaps the cost. If you want to share something, if it's shareable, because sometimes these things are negotiated also, it
yeah,
depends on your own appetite to be able to subsidize something from all your great global operations to support maybe an association or a body that's not really too well to do. So if you want to share something, do,
yeah.
or just give me a percentage comparison
Yeah,
with a
it is.
traditional pitch.
Yeah, it is difficult to put a justifiable quantity. It all depends on where in the country the pitches will need to be installed, because there's logistics of getting the machine around the country. It depends on how many pitches are required in the area. So what we tend to do at SIS Pitches is look at the project, see if there's a wider project that could be available, and at that point we will negotiate with all key stakeholders on the final price. And we do negotiate, and we are receptive to the fact that if there's more pitches in the order, then the price will be less. So it's very difficult to go, this is how much it costs, because it all depends on the varying logistics around the country. They used to be very expensive when they first came out, and we know that cost has probably halved over the 7 years that cricket pitches have been around. So it is now a cost-effective option for any country to be involved with. The machines are specifically developed for cricket, so they're easily moved around the country. Because hybrid technology has been in football for 25 years, and the machines are huge and are not conducive to stitching small areas, which is where our machines come into their own. So that has brought the cost down and has made it more affordable for everyone to be part of this program.
Wonderful, wonderful. And what does that cost? How much higher in percentage terms, perhaps, is an apples to apples in terms of number of pitches, traditional to your SIS pitches, hybrid pitches? How much higher, perhaps, would or could they be? Or you don't want to take that?
Well, no, I think the question is around whether you have got space to install more natural turf pitches. So if you're in a main cricket stadium where you've only got 9 pitches, as they have in the HBCA stadium in Dharamshala, they've got the middle 3 pitches that they utilise there for the IPL games and international cricket, and then they got their remaining 6 pitches that they use for other games and for on-field practice.
Mm.
So they haven't got capacity to extend the square without impacting boundary sizes. So it's not about necessarily increasing the number of pitches at that particular location, but it's maximising that asset so you get up to 3 times the amount of games out of the same number of pitches. That's the real key part to this.
Got it, got it. So your strategy, so your growth strategy would be top down in terms of resources and space and the body behind it,
Yeah,
and which gives you the opportunity to install
to
your pitches. Yeah,
to to
absolutely, I
an,
totally
to an,
understand that, and
to
these
extent,
costs will
yes.
vary. Yeah, wonderful. Hey, this is your host and friend Pavan R Chawla of Mediabrief on MediaCast, the podcast series. And with me today is the amazing Paul Taylor, International Sales Director for Cricket at SIS Pitches. Paul, why SIS Pitches for cricket in India?
So SIF Pitches want to provide good quality cricket surface for all to play on, utilising hybrid technology. We want to work with the local associations and the BCCI in helping further develop the game in the country. And this will be very much based on local needs. SIS Pitches are a one-stop shop for all types of sports surfaces, whether that be natural grass, fully artificial, or hybrid surfaces. And we believe we have the knowledge and experience for this to be a game changer for Indian cricket.
Wonderful. And how many have you installed in Dharamshala?
We've installed 8 pitches in Dharamshala to date, and we've got another order for 8 pitches in the HPCA location, which will be installed over the next few weeks.
Wonderful. And who are your India partners?
Our India partners are a company called Greater 10, who are a fine turf specialist, and they are currently responsible for the outfield preparation and renovation at HPCA Stadium in Dharamshala and the main stadium in Ahmedabad.
Wonderful. More strength to you, Paul. Wow, Paul, I've really enjoyed this conversation with you about SIS pitches and how it's really empowering the whole space for cricket in India. Is there anything else that you would have liked me to ask you?
No, I think it's just to highlight the point that we want to ensure that this technology is available at all levels of the game. So it goes into the whole of the Indian cricket community, and that includes clubs and schools. Installing pitches into the grassroots game is a key consideration for us as a company, especially into local parks. I mean, just imagine young and up and coming players on the same types of surface as their professional heroes. And SIS pitches installing into Shivaji Park, where Sachin started his career, and that would be absolutely amazing. But that's hopefully in the future. But no, it's really about embracing the whole of the Indian cricket community and improving the surfaces that they play on.
Superb, Paul. So, Paul, I said I love the conversation. What did you think of your chat with me today on MediaCast?
I think very honest and very direct, obviously from a position of knowledge, which is great. I've thoroughly enjoyed being on, and I hope everybody sees the benefit of the conversation.
I'm sure they will. Thank you very much indeed, Paul Taylor. And thanks once again. This is my format. People do good work. I want to thank and acknowledge them. So thanks once again to Noel D'Souza of your PR agency at Factors PR for having made this interaction possible. I've learned a lot, and I'm truly enthused and inspired by the great potential for or of SIS pitches for cricket in India, and also your last statement about wanting to help the entire ecosystem of cricket in India. So that investedness, sure, it's a for-profit entity, but then I also see a lot of profit accruing to cricket in India. So wonderful. Paul Taylor, thank you very much.
Pavan, thanks for having me on.
So that was my chat with Paul Taylor, International Sales Director for Cricket at SIS Pitches, the peerless company that's doing so much for cricket in India. I found this conversation extremely insightful. I hope you did too. Till we meet again in the next episode of MediaCast, this is your host and friend Pavan R Chawla saying, take care, stay safe, keep playing. Bye-bye.